Let's take you to Durban now, and this is where the man who pleaded guilty to murdering 23-year-old student Xolile Mbatha is expected to be convicted and sentenced today. Mbatha, you will recall, was a student at the Mangosuthu University of Technology. She was murdered in her student residence room back in July. Karinda Jagmohan covering this story for us, and she joins us live now. Karinda, good morning to you. Take us back to this incident when it occurred and the delays in this case.
Indeed, it was in July when the murder happened. Bongani Mlambo has pleaded guilty. He said that the pair had been dating for several months when, in a fit of jealousy, he went to Xolile Mbatha's room at a student res here in Durban, and he stabbed her several times in front of another roommate who has served as a witness in this case. Xolile died at the scene, and Mlambo fled to northern KZN. Then in September, he handed himself over to police and has since pleaded guilty to this murder. Now, like you mentioned, several delays. After Mlambo pleaded guilty, the presiding officer, the judge, could not accept this guilty plea because a post-mortem report had not been handed over to the court. And from the facts outlined there, we saw that the court didn't want to not take into consideration this report. And so there was a delay. And then when this same judgment and sentencing was supposed to be handed down last week, there was yet another delay because some of the court officials were unwell. But of course, today, this judgment and sentencing expected to happen, and we understand there will be protesters from the Mangosuthu University of Technology outside court to demand a heavy sentence against Mlambo.
Karinda, it's not the only case where women have been attacked in this fashion in that province. There have been several other cases. Tell us a little bit more about those.
In fact, one involving Mangosuthu University of Technology. Remember, 21-year-old student Xolile was murdered in 2018, then by her boyfriend as well, Thabani Mzolo, 23. He went up to her student res and shot her several times before fleeing the scene. In 2020, so 2 years ago, he was convicted and is currently serving a life sentence in prison. And even just this week now, there has been several cases. In fact, every day so far, we've covered a case relating to gender-based violence. On Monday, it was the court case of a Durban policeman accused of murdering 2 women in Hillcrest, west of Durban. Yesterday, we covered the story of a 25-year-old woman who was killed by her boyfriend, by her ex-boyfriend rather, who then turned the gun on himself. And what has come up in that incident is that there was a protection order granted to the girl against her ex-boyfriend. And that order stated that police should confiscate his firearm because of the threats he had made towards her with his firearm. But this never happened. And then just last week, her ex-boyfriend followed her to a parking lot of a popular shopping mall and then shot her in her vehicle before turning the gun on himself. We spoke to parents yesterday as well. And there as well, just highlighting the fact that gender-based violence is continuing. Tomorrow, there will be a bail application of a man in Richmond accused of murdering a pregnant woman and then setting the body alight. So we'll also give you coverage of that case. But of course, this then just proving that gender-based violence is indeed a rising pandemic. Or perhaps it was always this case and we're becoming more aware of it now.
Karinda Jagmohan, thank you very much for that comprehensive update. Thank you indeed for that.